Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am.
Nino Brown Box, and then I'm back in the building. Shout out to the LDBC. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. So I started my morning off wanting to watch some boxing videos, and I saw Fred from Barbershop Conversation video, and it was the video where he was interviewing the guy like after the Joyce fight. I don't remember who the guy names. If I don't remember his name, I know he's a part of Joyce's team in some capacity. I also saw that Fred post a video of the interview, and he put a caption. In the caption, a quick summary was basically saying like the guy at some point was judging him because Fred basically bet him $20,000 that Deontay Wilder would knock out Joyce. Then, like, the guy was giving him, some weird looks. I noticed it myself. It's funny because I watched the video before I read the caption, and I was like, why the hell is he looking him up and down like that? And then he said something about, like, watch yourself or be careful. Now, while I'm watching this video this morning, my girl was, like, in the background. And, she saw the facial expression, and then she saw what the guy said, heard what the guy said, and was like, what the fuck? Like, why is he telling this grown-ass man to, watch yourself because he said Deontay Wilder would knock his fighter out? Now, the irony in all of this with my girl being involved, Deontay Wilder happens to be her favorite fighter. Not because of him being a boxer, because he was on some reality show with his girl at some point, but that's irrelevant. So then I read the caption, and after I read the caption, that's when I was like, oh shit. Like, I was thinking basically the same thing. Then I went on YouTube to go look for the video, watch the video in its entirety. And then I was like, okay, well, let me go look at some more video of Joyce. And it's like, I understand he's early in his career. I get it. But to me, from what I see, and maybe, I haven't looked at enough tape of him. Obviously, I know, things progress and style makes fights. I definitely saw his latest fight. I watched his fight against Alexander Usyk in the World Boxing Series. And it was like a couple of more fights that I watched, highlights on. So obviously, I'm not well versed with Joyce, but based off what I have seen, like, the dude is slow as hell. He is extremely slow. And right now, and like the guy did say, it's early and he didn't say he was the best, but just based off of what I see, like, speed is speed. Speed is not something that you develop later on in your career, and the dude is extremely slow. He's just, to me, I give him a poor man's Anthony Joshua, and to me, hey, that's what he gives for me. Some people may disagree, and Richard Schaefer wanted to compare Joyce to Lomachenko. I understand that they're promoting this guy, and they're supposed to build him up. I get it. And that's the same thing what Fred told the guy in the video. He said, you're supposed to say that. Now, in this interview, the funny part about it is people always try to use this line, and it's so annoying. He tried to say, well, who's Deontay Wilder fought? Fred was like, well, Luis Ortiz. And when Fred, mistakenly called Luis Ortiz Victor Ortiz or something like that, he tried to take that and run with it. Oh, yeah, Victor Ortiz. I'm like, man, you know exactly what this man. But it was funny because they definitely ducked and dodged that possibility of fighting Luis Ortiz. And if I'm not mistaken, it sounds like Fred said something about, well, you can always fight Luis Ortiz on that Wilder Fury undercard. They ain't want no smoke with that either. It's just, well, the main thing about this video, I find it funny that, one, the Lomachenko comparison. And, like, okay, well, Joyce is undefeated. Yes, his pro fight debut was a 10-rounder. All of that's fine and dandy. But if you're going to make the Lomachenko comparison, please also throw in there that Lomachenko took an L. Like I mean, that whole interview was very entertaining to me. Honestly, it was. I mean, it's early. It's early on the East Coast, but it was a highlight of my morning so far. Man, I just now the way that his team is talking, I want to see Joe Joyce in the step up fight. Obviously, they're talking about how much of a fast track that he's on after this whole Wilder Fury situation is over. We'll see how things go. Me personally, I'm picking Deontay Wilder to stop. Well, not to stop, to knock out Tyson Fury. And since Joe Joyce's team's talking about how they're whipping on Fury and sparring and all of this, I'm like, okay, well, put yourself in a position to fight the mandatory. Or call out Deontay Wilder and say, hey, Deontay Wilder, the same invitation that you extended to Dillian White, can that apply to me as well? That invitation being, hey, if I can beat Luis Ortiz, which my guy referred to him as a 90-year-old man, can I get a shot before I'm 10-0? And we'll see what happens with that. It's more than one way to skin a cat. You can always call a guy bluff. But yeah, man, this shit was very entertaining to me. I mean, I watched the fight and I honestly wasn't impressed. It's like, I don't know. Honestly, I felt like I was watching the video in slow motion of Joe Joyce. He's just extremely slow. I mean, if you add some speed to him, then I can see definitely a promising future. But just the lack of athleticism and the lack of speed on his punches. Like I said, man, I wasn't impressed at all. And old heads tend to talk about this generation's crop of heavyweights like wouldn't last in the previous generation. And now, when it comes to Joe Joyce, I could see that 100%. Sometimes I tend to disagree, but this one situation, I would have to definitely agree. But we'll see what happens, guys. I mean, I already know that interview with Fred isn't about to change the trajectory that his team has for his career, but it's definitely a good topic to talk about. It was very entertaining for me. But this Nino Brown Boxing. Shout out to the LDBC. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. I'm out.